In this video, I'm going to rank all the Silent Hill characters' personalities, so let's begin. In last place we have Arey, the protagonist of Silent Hill 4. He is definitely the worst character of all of them. Arey is boring and an uninteresting character. His story begins with him trapped inside his own apartment, which was locked with chains from the inside. He finds a mysterious hole in the bedroom that takes him to another world with monsters and paranormal activity. And he happens to stop the bad guy, but I don't think he knows how he managed that. Arey through the game goes through dangerous and bizarre things, and he does not react to anything. He barely opens his mouth, and when he opens it, it just looks like he's bored or tired.
I finally met him! The one the nosy guy talked about! The devil!
He doesn't seem to have any motivation. He's just seeing how far he will end up. Arey doesn't evolve, he always stays the same. He doesn't relate to the characters, and the only thing we know about him is his name and the fact that he wants to get out of that damn room. And in the end, other characters who appeared for seconds managed to show more personality than Arey. I can't say much more about him because he's emptier than a packet of chips. Murphy is the protagonist of the last Silent Hill, and it's a bit difficult to describe him because in this game players have the option to choose a good or a bad action. But putting that aside, Murphy doesn't seem to be a bad person, because several times he shows concern for the people he encounters. He even saves a monster by mistake. Murphy didn't go to Silent Hill by choice. He ended up there after a prison bus had an accident that was supposed to take them to another prison. Yes, Murphy was one of the prisoners. After the accident, as expected, he wants to leave Silent Hill and he encounters monsters and other characters. The policewoman that was also on the bus appears through the story, and we soon see that she has a special hatred for Murphy. The story itself is nothing special and does not favor our protagonist. Basically, he committed a crime to end up in prison in order to kill the man responsible for the death of his son. And in exchange for the opportunity to be alone with his son's killer so he could kill him, Murphy agreed to do the favor to an officer who helped him with this. This favor turned out to be the murder of another policeman who was the father of the policewoman who also ended up on Silent Hill and doesn't like us. However, we have the choice to do this favor or not, but the man dies anyway. The game reaches a part that wants to give us the message that Murphy, in his pursuit of vengeance, is turning into a monster just like the killer of his son. In other words, it's not worth it. We also see the policewoman doing the same thing. She wants revenge from Murphy for killing her father. So this is kind of a theme that's used a lot in stories, and it's not that interesting. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Murphy because of that. Silent Hill Shattered Memories is an alternative version of Silent Hill 1 story. It has the same characters, and the story is also based on Arey looking for Cheryl, but the rest of the story develops differently. I think that in terms of personality, Arey it's not bad, but the story itself doesn't benefit him, just like Murphy. This is because in the end we found out that he died in the car accident, and Cheryl invented the whole story that we played. The game is extremely psychological, and most of the story it's just Arey talking to people who are ironically just women, and in these little interactions he finds out that something doesn't match with what he remembers, because it was all invented by Cheryl, and that comes with conflict when reality really starts to emerge. We can say that nothing exciting happens in the game, and the story of a father dedicated to looking for his daughter is not original. I didn't even understand what was the purpose of the scenes with Lisa, because they didn't add anything to the story. In the end, I didn't connect very much with his character. Travis is the protagonist of Silent Hill Origins. Its story is a prequel to Silent Hill 1. The spirit of a girl, who is Alessa from the first game, appears on the road and attracts Travis to a burning house. Upon hearing someone inside, Travis enters to save the victim. Inside, he finds Alessa's body all burned and saves her. Outside, he ends up fainting. When he wakes up, he realizes that he is in the Silent Hill city, and decides to go to the hospital to find out if the girl was doing okay. This attitude demonstrates that he's a good person, and in the end I think he's actually a decent character. However, his character ends up being a bit harmed by the story because it's short and kinda unnecessary, and because of that his interactions with the characters are weak and meaningless. We have the example of that scene where Lisa is in the theater. This scene has no value in the development of the story. In terms of purpose, Travis himself doesn't know what he's doing there, but at least unlike Henry, we know something about his past. We know that he suffered at the hands of his mother, who seemed crazy by saying that the people in the mirrors said that she had to kill him because he was the son of the devil. After a failed attempt to kill his son and of a suicide, Travis' mother was put in the asylum. The father tells him that the mother died, but continues to send letters without the son knowing. After a while, his father commits suicide, and Travis ends up having to face his parents in the nightmares created by Alessa. Without knowing it, Travis ends up helping Alessa by finding the various parts of the flowers, and with that he unleashes Alessa's powers and divides her soul in two parts. Basically the story it's just that. In the end, the story it's about Alessa and not Travis. If he was replaced by another character, we wouldn't see big difference. And that's actually quite sad. I think it would be very interesting to play with Alessa instead of Travis. It would make a lot of more sense. Arey is the first protagonist of the saga. At the beginning of the game, he suffers a car accident. When he wakes up, he realizes that his daughter, Cheryl, has disappeared. The rest of the game consists on Arey looking for Cheryl in the city of Silent Hill. He proves to be a dedicated father who faces monsters, and whenever he meets someone, he asks if they saw her. That dedication becomes more incredible when later in the game we discover that Cheryl was not his biological daughter, and yet he loved her as if she were. Through the game, Arey also cared about other characters. Good examples of this are when he meets Sybil again and says that he's happy that she's okay.
I'm glad you made it. I was worried about you.
You were worried?
Another one is when he offers to protect Lisa if she wants to escape the hospital with him. Is it true that there is a part that he pushes Lisa when she starts talking in a strange way, but I think it's a normal reaction. He sympathizes with her, but barely knows her and ends up being scared. The only point against Arey is the fact that the game is for PlayStation 1. By this, what I mean is that the games from the PlayStation 1 era had horrible voice actors. So Arey rarely shows any kind of emotion, speaking very casual through the game, which can make the connection between the player and the character difficult. At the end of the game, Arey receives a baby who is the reincarnation of his daughter, thus having a happy ending. But unfortunately, he dies in Silent Hill 3, which is a sequel to Silent Hill 1. The Silent Hill Homecoming protagonist is Alex, who returned to his city after being injured in the war and being discharged from the hospital. But when he arrives to his city, he realizes that something is not right. Instead of seeing people on the street, he saw monsters. Along the way, he meets a friend, Hel, who is hanging papers from people who are missing, including her sister Nora. Upon arriving home, Alex meets his mother and decides to go looking for his brother, showing how much he cares about him. His search ends up taking him to Silent Hill. Through the story, we have seen clear signs that Alex's parents seem to dislike him and prefer his younger brother. A good example was the fact that there are no pictures of Alex in the house, which made me feel sorry for Alex, and the situation gets even worse when we discover the truth on Silent Hill. 4 families who lived in Silent Hill wanted to leave the city, but the demoniac god just let them go on one condition. Every 50 years they would have to sacrifice one of their children, but this time this sacrifice was not made because Alex's family failed. And that is why the city was full of monsters. We also learn about a horrible event. Alex accidentally killed his brother, who had been chosen to continue with the family line. Poor Alex, on the other hand, had been chosen as a sacrifice, and that was why they treat him so badly. But after this accident, Alex went to the asylum, and his family was unable to make his sacrifice, thus causing the imbalance. The final boss is a monster that represents his brother. After defeating the boss, Alex finally managed to accept his brother's death. Alex is a decent character, and the fact that the story is so strongly related to him, unlike Travis from Silent Hill Origins or Arey from Silent Hill The Room, makes him a richer character, and his interactions with the characters he meets through the game always have a meaning. His story is not perfect, but it's interesting. I saw him sad, jealous, happy, and scared. And despite of being jealous of his brother, he always loved him so much that after killing him, he went crazy. Through the adventure, he was always friendly and tried to help everyone. His only mistake was having a jealous attack, typical of siblings. In his case, was even more aggravated by his parents' behavior, which led him to his brother's death. Protagonist of Silent Hill 2, James is probably the most complex character in the saga. James' purpose is to find his wife, Mary, in Silent Hill after receiving a letter from her. The problem is that she died 3 years ago, and James knows it. This shows that James is a confused person, and is the first sign that something is not right with him. We spent most of the game wanting James to find Mary after all those nightmares. But in the end, we got a slap in the face when we found out that it was James himself who killed Mary, that had a serious illness. Shocked and confused, I didn't know how to feel about James anymore. Does the crime he committed make him a bad person? The answer to this question will vary from person to person. In my opinion, I would say no. The crime he committed is horrible, no doubt, but this couple's situation was complicated. Apparently, James was dedicated to supporting Mary in the illness, but Mary was so frustrated that she used to yelling at him and didn't show gratitude for the things he did for her, as we can hear in the conversation where he visited her with flowers and she yelled at him until he left. Mary herself apologizes in the final letter, knowing that she was mean to him. James reached his limit and began to believe that he would only be happy again if he got rid of Mary. But that's not what happened. James did not feel free and happy. His remorse and loss were so great that he punishes and tortures himself over and over by watching the death of a woman named Maria, who is a sexy copy of his wife. Only in the end of the game, he is able to face what he did. If James was a bad person, he would not feel regret. I believe it was a moment of madness under the pressure he was under, and when that passed, only the guilt remained. One of the reasons I like James so much is because through the game we can see him showing various emotions, such as disappointment, anger, fear, surprise, discomfort, confusion, and sadness. When he finds Angela, he always tries to help her. In the case of Eddie, he tries to reason with him. In general, he reacts correctly to the situations that appear, except for those moments when he sticks his hands in dangerous holes, disgusting toilets, or throws himself into holes that you can't even see the bottom of it. And because of that little thing, I decided to not let him go to first place. Heather is the first and only female protagonist of the saga. She appears on Silent Hill 3 and is Harry's adopted daughter from Silent Hill 1. In other words, she is Cheryl's reincarnation. She changed her name and started to dye her hair blonde to avoid being found by the remaining members of the cult of the first game. However, she was discovered and later finds Arey dead. Heather decides to follow the murder of her father, named Claudia, to Silent Hill to take revenge. She is, without a doubt, the most intelligent character and has also a strong personality. She is ironic, sensitive, manipulative, has common sense, and a good sense of humor. What made me like her so much was the fact that she is the character with the right reactions for each type of situation. There are other characters that do not react or that sometimes have strange reactions. Heather is one of the easiest characters for the player to feel connected to. At the end of the game, Heather manages to finish that nightmare as her father did in Silent Hill 1, and she decides to change her name back to Cheryl while she's thinking about her dead father. So we reached the end of the video. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and to leave a like. And another thing, I know that some of you would not agree with this list or would change some characters, so I'm kind of curious to know which characters would be, and you could leave it in the comments so I could read them. It would be really interesting. And that's all. Until next time, bye bye.